As you may know by now, Xbox Game Pass is already looking ridiculously strong this year, and we have even more games on the horizon just to sink our teeth into. Many of you may have a Game Pass subscription, or may not have one as of yet, so today I just wanted to cover the 20 of the best Xbox Game Pass games you could play right now in January 2025. There is even an incredible FPS that many of you probably haven't heard of before, so stay tuned for more. Of course, this is a revolving list which I do cover every month, so if you're interested, subscribe below. But with that, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation, and let's just dive right into it. First up, and a brand new addition to the Xbox Game Pass library as of a couple of days ago now, was Quarantine Zone: The Last Check, and this is a really fun game to dive into if you have either a PC or the Xbox ROG Ally handhelds. This one was developed by Brigada Games, but actually published by indie giant Devolver Digital, and the game sees you commanding a checkpoint and trying to identify signs of an infection in the midst of a zombie outbreak. It is one that's actually had a demo available on Steam for quite a while now, and it did blow up quite a lot across social media. This does mean the release is day one on Xbox Game Pass, and it's going down pretty well by many who've played it. I will say it does have some issues when it definitely comes to the UI elements, especially on the handhelds, but if you can look past that, it's a really great time. Routine was a great add-on to the Xbox Game Pass library all the way back in December, and has actually fared pretty well amongst critics and also players alike solely for its captivating atmosphere. You essentially walk around a lunar base, exploring and studying terminals, and there's no sort of task tab, HUD or even map, it's just you, your suit and the CAT. You set your own goals by reading various notes and finding your own way, and it's just impossible not to mention the remarkable immersiveness of the entire game. I absolutely pushed myself to play this one even though I'm not a horror fan, and it's actually quite enjoyable. After completing the game, my first impression was that it's like watching a well-made sci-fi horror movie, and it doesn't put too many outrageous jump scares in just for good filler. The style is consistent, the atmosphere is incredibly unsettling, and for me at least, it feels like a combination of Soma, Dead Space and Doom 3. Now, PC Game Pass has been pretty good for owners of said hardware, and I wanted to highlight a real gem that landed exclusively on the service back in November, and it's called Monsters Are Coming: Rock and Roll. To give you an idea, this one brings us some new roguelike action as we defend against waves of alien monsters. The game certainly has an air of sort of vampire survivors to it, with the hordes of enemies that you'll need to fend off. To keep all the enemies at bay as well, you'll need to forage for materials and build defensive structures, and with each run, you'll have to push closer to reaching your goal. From my time with it so far, it's a pretty fun indie, but I've only put about 3 to 4 hours into it. I do hope it continues with a positive sentiment moving forward, but if you're a strategy fan, this is a good one to play in 2026. Keeping within the realm of strategy titles though, Age of Mythology Retold is quite simply one of the best strategy or RTS games available on Game Pass right now, and I would even say for me, it edges just over the likes of Age of Empires, but that's simply because I quite enjoy the godlike elements. In this one, you can choose between ancient civilizations like the Greeks, Egyptians and the Norse, each with their own unique units and abilities inspired by their respective myths. The updated graphics are truly stunning, making battles between minotaurs, cyclopses and other mythological creatures feel larger than life, and the remaster also included some rebalanced gameplay, enhanced AI, alongside all previous expansions bundled in for a comprehensive experience. If you're a strategy game fan, then this is certainly one you'll adore on your Game Pass library. If you remember back to July of last year, we finally got our hands on Grounded 2, and since that original release, it has come on leaps and bounds and is even getting a huge free update within the near future. I've not had much chance to dip my own toe into this one as of yet, as there have been so many games for me to review and play, but I know from what I'm seeing online it is a pretty great game. From looking way more into this, the story, exploration and RPG mechanics have all been enlarged in a big way, and the addition of the mountable insect pets is exactly as much of a game changer as I hoped it would be. There's certainly a lot of room for Grounded 2 to grow in its early access, including enemy variety, some more memorable areas, a better base building system and especially technical performance. But as incomplete as it is at this moment in time, Obsidian has another special gem on their hands that is definitely worth trying out. Next up, we have an incredible indie gem. Imagine an arcade shooter that drank too much caffeine, listened to nothing but 80s power metal, and then dared you to keep up, and that's Mullet Madjack. The game's time drain mechanic makes every second a resource you have to kill for, creating a constant sort of sprint towards the next target. Enemies do explode in that matter into showers of neon, while the soundtrack really hammers you with its pulse into overdrive. The movement feels incredibly slick, with an emphasis on chaining kills alongside stylish takedowns, almost like you're performing a violent dance routine. I love how it never lets you take a moment to breathe. You're always moving, always thinking, and you're always 1 second from total disaster. It's certainly a more unique title on this list today, and it's totally worth checking out as soon as possible, as I feel it might be leaving the service pretty soon. With all of the hype surrounding Requiem, Xbox just added Resident Evil 8 to Xbox Game Pass, and it's totally worth playing if you're a fan of the series. This one is set years after Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, and it follows Ethan Winters into a haunting European village, fighting for survival against brutal enemies as danger and mystery lurk around every corner. I know it's one of the best rated games from within the series, and many have said that it includes a ton of scares, a fantastic story, and some of the best environments and even cutscenes. I personally never played this one myself, and that's simply because I'm not a fan of horror games, and I never want to give you a fake review or insight from my end. With that being said, and as I mentioned, it's very highly rated amongst all platforms, so it's totally worth trying if you're a fan of these sorts of titles. I did mention it at the start of this video, but I've included an FPS that you may have never heard of before, and that's because it goes heavily under the radar. To give you more of an idea, it is essentially a new roguelike first-person shooter, and it's utterly insane, absolutely gorgeous, and personally, I'm still kind of stumped as to how a single dev has managed to craft this one. If you're wondering what Voidbreaker really entails, you aim to escape an endless cycle by fighting off hordes of hostile AI. It features a very robust environmental destruction system, deep weapon modding, and even some cool telekinetic powers. For me, Voidbreaker really did deliver some striking visuals and gameplay, and I can only kind of describe it as an adrenaline-fueled and a bloody blast to just play through. I will preface this by saying though, it's only available on PC Game Pass at the time of this recording, but I do fully expect a console release within the 1.0 launch sometime this year. It's a shame that Towerborne launched with practically no fanfare, and it kind of just died off, and I wish that really wasn't the case. The game is so polished in so many areas, and it's a really fun time if you have a few mates to dive into with this one. This is actually developed by Stoic and published by Xbox, and this action RPG really leans into co-op brawling with RPG mechanics and a stylish art direction. You and up to 3 friends can team up locally or online to tackle quests, defeat what they call the Umbra monsters, and explore a mysterious overworld. We recently also learned that Towerborne is now getting a full release in February, so I expect a very decent experience right out the gate, and the fact that adding a full campaign and moving from a live service model to a sort of single player model is extremely exciting. I highly recommend it right now, especially to get you in the gates for the full release in just under a month's time. Ghostwire Tokyo is a really awesome supernatural action adventure game that drops you into a haunted neon-lit Tokyo where nearly everyone has vanished. I think most of us may have forgotten about this Bethesda IP, and it is a shame as it's a very underrated gem. In this one though, you play as Akito and you're fused with a mysterious spirit named KK. What that means is you can wield elemental magic in first-person combat to battle yokai and the restless souls drawn from Japanese folklore. I think the main draw here just has to be how the combat goes beyond weapons and instead a combination of hand movements that generate spells and combat abilities. It's an incredibly unique style of action game, but it does pay great homage to Tokyo and the sort of ghoulish legends that may have been steeped in Japanese culture. There isn't a game like it on Xbox Game Pass, and I highly recommend diving into it, especially if you like these sort of open world action experiences. Another hidden gem on the Xbox Game Pass library you probably never heard of before is called Starbound. This is a really cool sandbox exploration game with a very big emphasis on exploration. You're meant to essentially explore and see the universe, and in a way that is structured far differently from other titles in this voxel genre. It really excels in giving you fun places to visit and a variety of things to do in said locations. Building is also exceptionally well handled, and there is a very wide array of content suited for this sort of gameplay, including being able to 3D print things you've already encountered in order to build things to your liking. It is a very awesome indie that gets overshadowed, and believe it or not, it currently sits at over 50,000 very positive reviews over on Steam, so it's really that good. Now, Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord isn't just a medieval game, but is a medieval life simulator, and this one really goes under the radar time and time again, and I kind of don't understand why it isn't really more of a highlight. In this one, you're not just swinging swords, you're actually going to be building armies, trading goods, leading sieges, managing politics, and even rising from lowborn wanderer to full-blown warlord. There's no set story either, as you basically shape your own legend in a dynamic sandbox world where you can control your own destiny. For me, the real-time battles are a massive highlight of this game and feature hundreds of units clashing at one time. This includes a like of deep tactics, directional melee combat, and just rewards timing and your positioning. They even recently had their Sales Update DLC, which includes a ton of content including the Vikings and just combat out on the seas with different ships. It's a fantastic game with so much replayability, and it's one that I highly recommend if you get a chance to dive into it. Have you ever wondered what long-haul trucking would be like in space? Well, Star Trucker is a unique sci-fi simulation game that lets you pilot massive space freighters, transporting cargo across the galaxy while managing your own ship systems, fuel, and navigation. The game offers a great mix of exploration, trading, and resource management, and it kind of makes it feel like a blend between Euro Truck Simulator and Elite Dangerous. In that case, you'll need to navigate asteroid fields, deal with mechanical failures, and even make strategic decisions about your own routes. From what I've played so far, the cockpit immersion is really top tier, with fully interactive controls that make you feel like a real space trucker. Whether you enjoy chill space travel or deep management mechanics, Star Trucker is one of the most original simulation experiences on all of Game Pass. Another recent addition just in time for this January was Star Wars Outlaws, and I can already see that many of you have been delving into this newest Star Wars adventure. I have mentioned that I've really enjoyed this one on its release, and since then they've pumped even more updates and overhauls into it, and it's just gotten even better. K-Vess is still an alright protagonist, and although I think they could have improved with a better main character, it's still a pretty decent story, and I just love the different take by putting us in the shoes of a scoundrel rather than a Jedi. The worlds are utterly beautiful in this one, and I would say it's probably one of the best aspects of the game alongside the pretty fun space segments. I highly recommend it, many of you now agree with me, and I hope you get much enjoyment for this brand new edition. After multiple years of delays, Dead Island 2 finally arrived onto Xbox a few years back now, and it's just an absolute blast. Unlike most zombie games, especially on Game Pass that lean into dark, depressing survival, this one fully embraces the chaos, giving you an open world of Los Angeles and lets you go absolutely wild. Every single punch, slash, and gunshot feels totally brutal, with zombies visibly breaking apart as you tear through them. The game just doesn't give you a bunch of generic undead enemies either. Instead, it offers a ridiculous variety of zombie types, and it even gives you a ton of weapons for you at your disposal, meaning you can electrocute them, smash them with a sledgehammer, or even just set them on fire. Dead Island 2 never takes itself too seriously and has a great humour about it. It's a stupidly fun game, and I know it's only gotten better since all of the DLC and updates drop, and that's why I recommend it this week. Gears Tactics took the brutal cover-based combat of Gears of War and then reimagined it as a turn-based strategy game, and it really perfected that formula to a T. If you're someone who loves the XCOM series but wants something faster and way more aggressive, then this game delivers that in spades. Set 12 years before the first Gears of War, the game follows a squad of elite soldiers as they take on locust threats in intense tactical battles. The fast-paced combat keeps you constantly engaged, and the signature executions added such a satisfying action-packed twist to this genre. The squad management and deep customization also allow you to craft some pretty unique strategies, while the gripping campaign ensures a thrilling narrative-driven experience. There are large-scale battles, powerful enemy bosses, and such rewarding tactical depth, and Gears Tactics really proves that strategy games can be as intense as their action-packed counterparts. All of us Xbox fans were kind of taken off guard by this one, but when Marvel Cosmic Invasion officially launched on the Xbox Game Pass back in December, it instantly became an absolute classic within the beat-em-up genre. I've never really been one that's into side-scrolling brawlers, so I did put off playing this one for a review. However, over the Christmas period, I finally delved into this one on my Xbox ROG Ally X, and my word, this game is bloody fantastic. It's really cool as every hero has their own combat style, and that sort of unique cosmic swap feature lets you mix their powers for some really cool and flashy combination attacks. This one is made by the team behind TMNT Shredder's Revenge, and you can tell as it's very polished and just brings a new level to what I've come to expect within the genre now. I am keen to hear your thoughts on this one down below though. Did you enjoy it, or was it not a game for you? Please let me know down below. Relic Hunter's Legend came to Xbox Game Pass, and that announcement was actually my first real introduction to this game. After digging into what it offers and having a little playtime with it now, I was surprised by how much it lines up with what I enjoy. At its core, it's a top-down looter shooter RPG, but what really stands out is it draws inspiration from classic JRPGs. Yes, a weird mix, I know. The loop revolves around exploring new worlds, taking down waves of enemies, and then gathering better gear and diving back in for more again. One of the biggest selling points for it though, it's got to be the 4-player co-op element, letting you jump in with friends at any moment. I understand that the game had some early Steam feedback and it was mixed around the board because co-op isn't integrated into the story mode. It's something that kind of put me off as well. It is frustrating, but I can see glimpses of it being added in the near future. Even so, with that little caveat, the game is still great and is an indie that many of you need to try out on Xbox Game Pass if you can. The next game will likely be remembered as one of the greatest tragedies in modern gaming. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is easily one of the best Metroidvania experiences since Hollow Knight, and if the bosses were a little bit more varied, it probably could have surpassed that masterpiece for me. It not only has phenomenal movement mechanics, but also a huge map for you to explore, alongside challenging platforming and combat, and a production value rarely seen within this genre. Yet, we'll never like to get another game like this, as the studio unfortunately got shuttered, as they never hit the sales targets that were set by Ubisoft. It really sucks big time, and I highly recommend you dive into it as soon as possible. Understand why many, like me, are just so disappointed by Ubisoft's decision yet again. Rise of the Tomb Raider may be a little bit old at this point, but it's still one, or if not the best, Tomb Raider game that we've ever received. It really improved upon the 2013 reboot in most areas, and although the game's formula hasn't really changed too drastically, it's still quite fun. I will say, if you dislike the first one, you definitely won't like this one. If you're somehow unfamiliar with it though, Lara basically uncovers an ancient mystery that places her in the crosshairs of a ruthless organization known as Trinity. As she races to find a secret before Trinity, Lara knows she must reach the Lost City and its hidden secrets before Trinity do. It's a pretty bulk standard story, but for me, the set pieces and the locations are utterly gorgeous, and the gameplay is very reminiscent of games like Uncharted, which is a good thing, and of course the story is pretty good around the board. I would say I was never a fan of the co-op multiplayer elements, but hey, more content is always a good thing. So, what Game Pass games have you been playing in 2026 so far? Do let me know down below, as I'm always interested to hear what you guys and gals have been playing for this week. Make sure to also hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe for more Xbox content on a daily basis. If you are new here or you're just returning, do check out the video on screen now, as I just covered the 15 brand new and incredible indie games coming our way to Xbox Game Pass in 2026.